Hello and welcome to the patch 24.6 review, mostly just the Battleground stuff, and by mostly I mean it will be entirely the Battleground stuff we're reviewing here. So first up and foremost, they did a bit of word changing on stuff where gain a blood gem and claim, or gain a gold this turn have just been changed to get a gold and get a blood gem. So that's a small bit of word changing. So first new bit up on the list, if I can scroll properly, new hero, the Jailer. One gold hero power, give a minion +1/+1, upgrades so it's Avenge 9 and it upgrades to +2/+2 and then +3/+3. I haven't had a chance yet to play this hero and to see exactly how good they are. I've played a couple of games of this patch, like 3 or 4. So I couldn't tell you until I make a video on or I play him for the first time. I can't tell you how good this is. This seems like a very late game hero power. You want to play into Avenge stuff early on, probably a bunch of beast stuff, and get it stacked up as fast as possible, and then start pushing it. I don't think you really want to touch that button in the early game all too often. So yeah, that's the Jailer. Next up, we have hero updates. So first and foremost, Cthulhu. I have had the experience with this hero. Cthulhu used to be 2 gold at the end of your turn, give minion +1/+1, and would upgrade every time you use it. No, it's still the exact same hero power, except you don't have to use it for it to upgrade. It will just upgrade passively in the background. And the one game of experience I've had, like seeing this hero in action, I was spectating a friend playing it, and we were kind of like duoing the game. So it opens up a lot of optionality for Cthulhu. Like, you are no longer bound to a very, very rigid leveling curve and having to get a token and having to stack stats on bad minions you don't want because of tokens and needing them. Now you have the option to just push it when you want to push it. Now, the old game plan of Cthulhu of just pushing the power every turn is still viable, I think. Obviously, you don't push it on 1 anymore. But I think it's still a thing you could do. Like, from turn 2 onwards, you can push the power as long as you get a token, and you can still play it that way. But it just opens up a lot of optionality with the hero, so I'm interested to see how the rates come back on that. Infinite Toki used to be a 1 gold hero power, and you reroll Bob's Tavern into... it would just reroll the Tavern, and you'd gain 1 minion the Tavern from a minion, or a Tavern tier higher. Now it's you get 2 minions from a higher Tavern tier. And again, I've seen this in action. This is absolutely ridiculous when it works. This is like doubling the effect of the hero power for 1 gold. So on Tavern 5, you get 2 guaranteed 6s, and this is absurd when it comes to consistency for making a build work. Even just being on 4 and being able to force a triple brand, triple Nomi, get some Tavern Tempests on the go, force Mama Bears, it is pretty insane. It's kind of like Dawn Grasp in a way, where you're doubling up on high Tavern tier minions, but with this you have optionality of, you're not always going to get 2 of the same minion. Very rarely you're going to get 2 of the same minion. So you have the optionality of builds as long as you're a high Tavern tier. It's just really good hero power. It's a very good change. I love it. Next up on the list, who do we have? The Rat King. This I haven't played, and I'm very, very iffy about, because I was a very, very, very big fan of old Rat King. So Rat King's old hero power was a rotating hero power between all of the tribes, and it would, whatever tribe it landed on that turn, when you buy or bought a minion of that tribe, it would gain +2/+2. Now, he just has a 2 gold hero power, and it still rotates between a different tribe every turn, but you just discover a minion of that tribe for 2 gold. I think this is objectively worse than old Rat King. So the strat for old Rat King was you just got stats, and you would use those stats to tavern up, provided your hero power lined up somewhat with the shop. It didn't need to line up every single turn on every minion, but every now and again, kind of like Kale Das, getting +2/+2 was enough stats to just let you press the tavern up button without taking too much damage, even winning some fights. This is just, it's a value add-on. It's kind of like Scabs, it's like Old Elise, I don't know. I want to have some hands-on experience with this hero before I fully conclude that it's bad, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is worse than his previous rework. Than his previous edition. I don't know. I'm iffy about this one. Moving on, we have... armor changes, no one cares. It matters in your in-game, but at the same time, I'm not reading all of this. I'm far too blind for that. If you want to read it, there you go. You can pause it. Moving on. New quests have been added into the game. I've had a couple of these in a few games. So, there is hire an investigator at the end of your turn. If you end your these are new quest requirements. So end your turn with unspent gold 3 times. That 3 is, I should say, X times. So that'll vary depending on your armor tier. Obviously, the hero you're playing. This is the only quest I believe that incentivizes you to play like Tavern Tipper, Reform Curve stuff. But I think by the time you get to know that like this is the quest requirement, you have already chosen the curve that you're going to play. I don't know, this is kind of a weird one. I'll have to have a bit of experience playing with this and see whether or not it works out. I don't think this is one of the requirements you want to take, unless it's attached to a really good quest, and even then it's kind of suspect. I know it could be just about on tier with the ordering your minions thing, because that can kind of screw you sometimes. I don't know. I think it's average to maybe bad, like as a requirement. So next up we have crack the case. Have friendly minions attacked X a number of times. This is really easy to do. You can either have taunts. It really doesn't matter. This just auto completes. This is a very easy to complete quest requirement. What else do we have? We have new Battlegrounds quest rewards. Yes, so this is the parts I've had more experience with than anything. Blood Goblet. At the end of your turn, give your rightmost minion attack equal to the health that your hero is missing. This I haven't played with, but it seems kind of wonky that it's your rightmost minion instead of your leftmost minion. You want to stack attack on like Cleaves, Divine Shield, Wind Fury, Crackling Cyclone, Deflectobot, stuff like that. So, I don't know, maybe there is some way to abuse this card, like Vol'jin probably takes this. That's pretty good on Vol'jin. Maybe if Cookie Chemist was still in the game, I could see this being useful. For now, I'm not really sure outside of like Sire Denathrius synergies with like stealth and stuff. The stealth on your rightmost and 7 health. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It's like an opposite Battle Master and a hero power. I need to have a bit of hands-on experience with this again, but I think this is not the worst quest you can end up getting. It'll definitely give you enough stats to do something with. Next we have Essence of Xeros. At the end of your turn, add a Shifter Xeros to your hand. Shifter Xeros is a card that used to exist in Battlegrounds not too long ago. He's been added and removed a couple of times. He transforms into a random minion in the game, regardless of tavern cost. So it could be anywhere between like a tier 1 Red Whelp to a Gas Coiler. Like that's the range you're working with. So this is just pure RNG. This is like the Wheel of Yogg-Saron. Like this you take, I think, on a really bad hero and you just hope to high roll. That's what I see you do with this quest. Because if you're already on a strong hero, you don't need to high roll more with this. There's more consistent win strategies. So yeah, I think that's for weaker heroes type situation. Next we have Hidden Treasure Vault. This I've had hands-on experience with. At the start of your turn, gain 1 gold. So it's basically like an extra stack of gold for you on the side. So when your regular gold caps at 10, this keeps going. So eventually you have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 gold, and the sooner you can get this complete, the more value you can get out of it. This really allows you to tavern up really fast. It allows you to build swap. It allows you to just go absolutely crazy buying stuff from the shop. So I think this quest is really powerful. Now it all depends on how quickly you can get this quest off the ground. So if you can get it off the ground like in the first maybe turn, 2 turns, because I've seen the requirements have been really low. It's like play 3 or 4 Battlecry minions or beasts or dragons. It's normally really low. So once you get this off the ground in a turn or 2, it's really powerful. It's kind of like playing Murloc Holmes in a way for a while. As long it's more like Murloc Holmes Barov. You're just playing with a lot of gold. If you have any experience on Gallywix, you know what it's like to play with a lot of gold. The next is Ethereal Evidence. At the start of every turn, choose from 2 new rewards. So this is Master and Win for quests. There is, I have seen already, a bug with this, so be aware. If you get the quest that gives you the Kidnap is the name of it. If you get Kidnap, you need to interact with something on the board for the quest to proc and to give you the spellcraft. So far, that's the only bug I've seen with this, but where there's one, there's many. Normally is the rule of thumb with Hearthstone when it comes to bugs. So just be aware of that if you were playing this. Otherwise, this is just Panda with quests, and Pandas can already be powerful. This is hope for the high roll type situation. It's like the quest is too varied to go through. I think you need to play this many times to really get a feel for it. But it seems like average to good power level at the very least. I'll definitely be playing with it. It seems like a fun quest. So next up, Volatile Venom. Oh, sorry, is that right? Volatile Venom, cool. Your minions have +8/+8, and after they attack, they die horribly. I have played with this quest, and I genuinely think it's actively bad. I think you should stay far away from this quest, unless you have specifically a frog setup. And even then, I think it might be bad. It's an aura effect on your board, sure. But it's just like, I have lost the game. I lost the game I was playing because this quest procced and because my stuff died. Like, after they attacked, they died. And as far as I could see, like, my eyes aren't very good for anyone that knows this channel. As far as I could see, Wind Fury does not, like, it doesn't let you allowed to have your second attack. Like, it doesn't wait for the attack animations to finish. It's just, it attacks once and it dies. So, I don't know, I think this quest is actively bad and you should probably not take it in almost any circumstance. I'm not sure what they can do to fix this, but it's just not a good quest. Now, feel free to leave a comment and tell me I'm completely wrong and I'm missing something glaringly obvious as this. Like, I'm well aware you can play mechs and beasts with this, but outside of that, this quest it's just bad. Again, all of this is my opinion and my, like, few games that I've spectated and watched so far in this patch, so I'm kind of coming at you with first impressions of a lot of these. Next is the Goblin Hammer, apparently. Or the Golden Hammer. The Goblin Hammer? Brain, are you feeling okay? Spellcraft, make a friendly minion golden and return... Sorry? Make a... Oh, for until the next turn. I haven't played with this yet, but this is kind of like stolen gold on a stick. It's like, it's really weird stolen gold on a stick, but it's stolen gold on a stick, and if stolen gold is good, like, this is just targeted stolen gold. It does say friendly minion, so you can target the shop and buy something with this, unfortunately, but, like, whatever, it's temporary Reno hero power. And that's not awful. Having, like, a Reno hero power every single turn is not the worst thing in the world. Next up on, so it's good. I wouldn't say it's incredibly broken or anything, but it's like half a stolen gold, which has, by the way, been reduced in offering rate, so you won't be seeing that quest as often as you used to. Next up is Sinfall Medallion. After you play a minion, give other friendly minions of its tier +2/+2. Have not played with this yet, but I can see this being like a Tavern Tier 3 or Tavern Tier 2 strategy, where you play like Molten Rock, Party Rock Elementals. You can do like Tavern 3 dragons even, Terragosas, Bronze Wardens, and Amber Watchers. You could do Tavern 2 dragons. Like, I think this quest is really powerful if you can get it off the ground. There are a lot of like single tray builds that can play off a single Tavern Tier. Like, dragons can play entirely off Tavern Tier 2 with Whelp Smuggler. Quillboars can almost play entirely off Tavern Tier 2 and 3. Like, there's a lot. Murloc can play off almost any Tavern Tier as far as I'm aware. So, like, I think this quest might be, like, maybe S tier. Like, I don't say that very often about things that are new in the game, but I think, like, even without experience, I think the Medallion might be S tier. It's just, like, just doing even, like, mech builds on 3 is kind of ridiculous with this. So, yeah, I think that might be an S tier. And especially on heroes like Arana and stuff like that. That's insane. Kidnap Sack. I love this quest. I've had a bit of experience. I've had 2 games of mine and spectated someone else with it. So you choose a minion anywhere on the board and you bounce it back to your hand. This is insane value. Again, I think this is another S tier. Maybe, sorry, no, that's not S. This is like high A tier. Like, this is really, really, really good. So this allows you to never be board locked if you don't want to be, because you can bounce something on your board back into your hand. You can bounce battle cries back into your hand. You can steal a minion from Bob's Tavern for free with this. There are limitless things you can do with this card. Obviously, now you can target golden minions, because that would be absolutely silly if you could target golden minions with this card. But you can just bounce. It's crazy the amount. Like, I cannot go into how many different applications this card has, but it's a lot. This card is really, or this quest reward is really good, and I think you should take it almost every time you see it, unless it's up against one of the actual S tier quests. Next up, we have quests and quest reward updates. I'm just going to skip past these because I don't particularly feel like reading out loud on stream of a bunch of stuff that doesn't seem interesting. New minions, cool. So Dozy Whelp, I've played with this. It is a 0-3 Tavern 1 taunt that gains 1 attack every single time it's attacked. It is a really, really good card. It does not... So it does synergize with Whelp Smuggler, but because it's in combat, you don't actually keep any of the health buffs, but this card is really, really strong. Like, I think it's worth picking up on turn 1 almost every time you see it. And it's also a card you can, like, if you can Divine Shield it later on somehow with an Adina or something like that, like, the card's really good. And with all the new taunt buffing cards that have been added into the game, it's just a good all-round card. Fits into Dragon builds, fits into taunt builds, it's just a solid card. Next up on the list, we have Patient Scout. I have only gotten to play with this card once. So it is a Tavern Tier 2, I believe? Tavern Tier 2, 1-1. So every single turn it's on your board, it upgrades, right? And when you sell it, you get to discover a minion of the Tavern Tier that it's upgraded to. So it's at first, you could buy it and sell it and discover a Tier 1. If you leave it on your board for a turn, next turn you sell it, you discover a 2. If you leave it on your board for 2 turns, you sell it and discover a 3. You get the drift. So I feel like this card would be better if you could hold it in your hand the whole time, but it's very much a risk reward of you need to keep a bad understated card on your board for long enough for it to hopefully pay out when you sell it. So when you sell it, you do get obviously you get a gold back and you get to discover. So it's iffy. It's a Shifter's Errors style card. It's Shifter's Errors with more consistency, but you do have to keep a bad card on your board. I don't know where and how you even rate this card. I guess if you get it early, it's probably worth just keeping on your board for a couple of turns. Like, it's not that hard to keep a 1-1 that early. You are going to lose some combats because you have a 1-1 on your board. But, I mean, maybe you high roll and you Galakron, like, you basically Galakron into a 6 and win the lobby from there. So, I don't know, it's a very high rolling card. I guess it's middle of the road. I won't be picking it up in every game, but every now and again I will have some fun playing it. Next up, we have, what is this? Bristlemere Scrapsmith. It is a Tavern Tier 3 Quillbore, so this is the card that's replacing Gem Splitter, I believe. So 4 attack, 4 health. After a friendly taunt minion dies, get a blood gem. So it's basically replacing Divine Shield Quillbore build with Taunt Quillbore build, and you'll see that as well as Prophet of the Boar is now a 2-3 with Taunt instead of a 3-3. It still has the same effect, but it's like they're trying to really push taunt builds with with this patch. I don't think this card is good. Maybe it is, maybe I'm crazy. It does generate blood gems, but like I would need to play some like taunt Quillbore builds to really assess this card. I think it's fine. I don't think it's a card that's really like worth building around, but who knows. It is one of those cards that you could just leave on your board to help you scale for a couple of turns. I mean, you can still do the same stuff that you do with Gem Splitter, except it just doesn't pay out in the late game now, because Divine Shields are obviously always going to be better than Taunts in almost any situation. So yeah, it's kind of like a nerf to Gem Splitter builds in a way. Roughly the same effect, just not the same long-term outcome. Next up on the list, we have Faceless Disciple. This is Galakron's hero power on a stick. You point at a minion in the tavern, and instead of discovering, you just transform it into one from a higher tavern tier. It's like, okay, this card I've played with a lot of times already in the few games I've had. The amount of times you miss on this card is ridiculous. Like, sure, you could hit the nuts and you could hit the higher roll and you could get, like, you could turn a bad 6-drop, like, and whatever bag 6-drop in the shop, or 5-drop in the shop, into Caligos really early, or Fellbat or something like that, sure. But most of the time, you're turning it into, like, a Zap or a Goldrin when you don't have a Beast build, and you're like, you need a build. Or, like, an Athissa with no Nagas, which, it's still fine. Or, like, I don't know, this card misses an awfully large amount of the time, unless you're hitting specifically 6s. Like, I've tried it with a lot of 5s, and there are a lot of bad 5-drops that just don't fit into, like, onto your board most of the time. So, I don't know, I wouldn't be picking this up and playing it all too often. It is a battle cry. Like, that's one thing I'll point out, this is really good for dragon builds. But, like, outside of dragon builds, that I don't really see myself picking this card up too often. It's got a fine stat line though. Like it is a 6/4. It's just very iffy effect. Next up on the list is Vigilant Stormborn. Stormborn? Stormborn. Stoneborn? Stoneborn, not Stormborn. It is a Tavern tier 2/6. This is the card's name is not Pompous Thespian. Sparring partner, but bigger. So you target another card and you give it 6 health and taunt. This is something you mostly want to target on the Trickster Demon. Trickster Demon is really good with this. New Amalgam is fine with this if you're going to be taunting it up and Divine Shielding and whatever. This is mostly going to be used just for like enabling more taunt builds in the game outside of Sparring Partner. This is just a tech card. It's a fine tech card. It's fine. Next, moving on, is Ball of Minions. This is the new Amalgam in the game. So when I first saw this, like taking a scan through the patch notes when they first came out hours ago, I looked at this and went, I am never ever selling this card. Sorry, what it does is it's a tier 4/5/5 Amalgam. Nightmare Amalgam is gone, by the way. Whenever you sell this, give its stats to another friend or another random friendly minion. Words are difficult. So it's a Mutanus that you sell. It's a self-contained Mutanus hero power, but it's also an Amalgam. So when I first saw this, I said I'm never ever selling this card. There is no time I'm going to sell this card because almost every time I'm going to want an Amalgam. But I've actually found myself selling this card a little more frequently than I thought I would. It's a very late Amalgam, and sure, it's still an Amalgam, but like the ability to be able to stack like spellcraft stuff on top of this and sell it and permanent those stats is very good. There's a couple synergies, obviously outside of all Amalgam synergies that are well known by now. But there's a couple of like little interesting Mutanus synergies basically for this. If you're familiar with Mutanus, you're familiar with how this card works, and I'd give this a solid A. Like, it's a good card. You can use it as an Amalgam, you can use it just as a temporary pick it up and sell it to buff stuff. It's really good. I will say, in a build that has like shields and cleaves and stuff, this is a really good cycle target. Millhouse will love this card. Next, moving up, there are a lot of new stuff in Battlegrounds, by the way. This could go on for a minute. Next, we have Interrogator Whitemane. She is a Tavern 5, I believe. She is Tavern 5, 8/5. She gives the opposite minion to her at the start of combat taunt, and they also take double damage. Now, this card is a specifically tech card that almost, like, most of the time you're playing this, you're going to be putting it on the far left of your board because you want it to target your opponent's far left minion as well, which will normally be like a big Wind Fury, Divine Shield, Crackling Cyclone, a Bristleback Knight, a Manta Queen. Like, it's normally a card that they would intend to lead with and they intentionally do not want to have taunt on. So this is really good for shutting down certain builds. Like, you put this first, you shut down a Macaw build if you get to attack first. You can also use this to try and outsmart your opponents and taunt their Baron if you know where their Baron is. So this is a really good card for countering beast builds now, if you know exactly where their Baron is going to be placed. But this also brings back to like the whole mind games thing. Your opponent can just move their Baron if they think you have this card. I love tech cards like this. This is a very interesting card, and in the experience of playing with it, it's very like, you don't know that your opponent always thinks about this card because it's new. But as time goes on, people are going to be very aware of this card's existence and are going to start positioning around it. So use it, like, throw it on the far left for now, snipe people's Barons because it's really easy because no one's really thinking about it, but give it like a week and people are going to be making some really weird positionings to play around this card. Next up on the list, we have Vanessa Van Cleef. She is a Tavern 5 pirate. She is a 3/7. Whenever she attacks, this card specifically, give all of your other minions, is it herself included? Give your pirates +2/+1. This card is fine. It is a 1-turn Eliza and only for pirates, and only when this attacks. You can't see, the problem with this is I thought it was, when I first played it, I had somehow evolved into it or something. I got it really early, and I had misread this card and assumed it gave all minion types +2/+1 like Dread Admiral does when a pirate attacks, but it's just pirates. So I think you only pick this card up in a pirate build, and I don't really know where you place this in a pirate build, because most pirate builds tend to want to have a bunch of scallywags on the left hand side. They don't really want this up front and center. It's kind of a clunky minion. It's a tier 5. I don't know. I don't think it's a very good card. I'm not going to be picking up very much more in any of my games. I'm going to try and avoid it unless I'm playing a specifically pirate build or I get it really early and I can use it to build pirates. Now, it is permanent scaling, I will say that much, and it does scale itself. It's just, it's kind of slow. It is a self-scaling minion, but it's a very slow self-scaling minion. I could be wrong about this card. It could be insane, and I've just been misusing it. Keep that in mind once again. Next up on is the Walking Fort Tavern Tier 6 card. It is a 4/6, sorry. At the end of your turn, give 4 friendly minions. It is 4 friendly minions with taunt +4/+4. Now, this can hit itself if you can taunt it. This is like the capstone card. Oh, this is +4/+4. I thought it was +2/+2. That's way better than I thought it was, and I've actually played with this card as well. This card I've seen used in a dragon build with Whelp Smugglers and the new 0/3 dragon, and get like just stack a million stats. Now, if you taunt this card with the other new card we saw a while ago that gives +6 health and taunt, this will also scale itself. I think this card is really, really good for maybe a couple of turns, but I don't think you can just keep this card for the whole game. I don't know, like +4/+4 is a lot of stats on 4 minions. Like everything, that's a lot of stats. But there are like Caligos can outscale that, Athissa can outscale that, Beasts can outscale that, Omega Busters can outscale that. I don't see it ever really winning too many games, but it's definitely powerful if you can get it like the build pulled off early enough. Next up, what do I have on this list? We have minion updates, fantastic. Prophet of the Boar has been changed from a 3/3 to a 2/3 with taunt, that is it. It is trying to fit this new taunt thing that you're trying to put into the game, or put back into the game. Ever since Alistra left, taunts haven't really been the same. Terragosa has just been a word change. It's not a change that actually matters. It's just a wording change. What else got changed? Minion pool changes, yes indeed. So, almost scrolled past it. Spawn of Unzoth is gone. Gem Splitter is gone. Reef Explorer, which breaks my heart, is gone. I really like Reef Explorer. Nightmare Amalgam, as we talked about, is gone, but it has been replaced by another Amalgam style card. Nosy Looter is gone, which I'm kind of sad about, but I understand it wasn't really the best of cards. And Urel is also gone. Replacing them, Menagerie Mug is back. Menagerie lovers, rejoice. Obviously, the cards we've gone through will be replacing the minions in that list that have left. And besides that, there's just a new... Okay, so I'm going to talk about this, actually. Hold on. I was not going to rant about this bash thing, but I'm going to rant about it for a little bit. So, anyone that actually paid for the Tavern Pass, myself as a content creator, and because of the way I make content in an A to Z in Battlegrounds, I do a lot of conceding to get specific heroes. If I didn't have the perks, it would take me 1.5 million years to actually get videos out. And sometimes it already does, even with 4 hero choices. So, I already paid for the perks. Now, the perks lasted me, someone who's I don't play it that much, like as much Hearthstone as I used to. I play like maybe 2-3 hours a day, and that's like not every day of the week. That like maybe 4 or 5 days a week. I play a couple of hours Battlegrounds. I was finished the entire Tavern Pass for Battlegrounds in like maybe 3.5-4 weeks. And as far as I'm concerned, that's way too short. So for this event, like, so the Battlegrounds bash is it's loot crates for Battlegrounds. Long and short, it's loot crates for Battlegrounds. You get one when you log in for free, and after that I believe it's €10 a go, or $10, whatever, $10 regionally, wherever you are. And you get some cosmetics out of it. I got a single skin, I believe, out of it, a Greybow skin, which is not worth $10 or €10 of any description. On my NA account, I pulled a Strike, that's not worth €10. I believe they are €10. I could be wrong about this. I'm also just not scrolling down to read because I'm ranting right now. Anyway, back on the Tavern Pass thing. So at the end of that Tavern Pass, there should have been at least, like, I don't know, some way for us to gain, even free-to-play players, like once you finish that Tavern Pass, to gain like small little bits of currency, maybe this new event currency they have in the game, to be able to like stack it up once we come, like, hold up, so I'm going to rewind a little bit here. On that Tavern Pass thing, when you complete the Tavern Pass, you no longer get Battlegrounds quests every single week, okay? So that is a mechanic that I've only seen for a month in the game, having all these cool new Battlegrounds quests, some that are just invented for the new Battlegrounds Pass and Battlegrounds XP system. They don't exist when you finish the pass. So if they had found a way for us to generate some sort of currency or a way to like buy these new bash things or generate rune stones for buying some cosmetics in the shop at the end of it, that would have been fantastic. And as far as like I don't really want to buy the next tavern pass, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was making videos, I probably wouldn't be either. Like, they need to add something at the end of this tavern pass where we can get access to some of these cosmetics without having to pay for them. And I believe that would make more people willing to pay for things if you could grind at least some of it with the in-game currency. Because for right now, gold is basically useless. Since the introduction of runestones, all gold purchases in the shop for cosmetics have basically been null and void. Every now and again before, we used to get like a bartender that would come back and you could pay like €10 or $10 or 1,500 gold and you could get it. Ever since runestones have come in, there's been no options to buy any of those with gold at all. So I don't know, I think runestones have very much been killing the game and they seem to be just pushing more and more cosmetics out. Now don't get me wrong, some of the cosmetics are really cool. It's just they seem to be very, very aggressively monetized and I'm not the biggest fan of it, to be quite honest. And as far as most of the patch goes, that's about it. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have your own opinions or whatever, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But if you have your own opinions and your own takes on some of these cards, don't forget to leave a comment. I'd be very interested to hear what other people think about this. And I hope you enjoyed my little bit of a rant at the end about the Tavern Pass. I've been trying to get that off my chest for a while. And until next time, peace out.